Hello, everybody. Welcome to All the Way Live with Prophet Ruckins Mckinley. That's me, and I am so excited that you are with me today on this beautiful Wednesday mid-evening for an exciting interview and inspiring conversation with Miss Angela White. I am so excited about this particular All the Way Live. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm using my earphone here, trying to make sure that we have a clear connection while we're waiting on Miss Angela to come. But those of you that are on now, if you could hear me, could you please let me know? That would be great. There is Miss Angela. She is in the house. She has just joined us, and so I'm just going to wait for her request and then bring her in, and here she comes, the woman of God. And I am so excited about this interview. To God be the glory. Glory be to God. Here she comes. There she is.
How are you doing, Pastor?
I am doing very well. And yourself?
Very good. Very good. Thank you for asking.
Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. I don't have this in, but you're fine. You can hear me?
I can hear you well, and I know that, and look what I got. I even brought us out a little timer here because I know that your time is limited.
So thank you for having me.
I am very, very glad for you being here. And I'm just, for those of you that don't know, this is Miss Angela White, and she is a filmmaker. She is an author, a business coach, and speaker. And most of all, a woman of integrity and a woman of God. And she loves the Lord. And she is doing some amazing things in the area of Hollywood and film and television. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to meet someone who's actually in the field, making things happen, doing things behind the scenes, because I told you guys that this is a generation that is a generation of demonstration. We're going into the kingdoms of this world, and we are bringing the kingdom of our God and his Christ, but we're going in differently, and we're making an impact. And that is what Angela does in a very powerful way. So I just want to start out by saying, you know, one of the films where I first met you was A Question of Faith. And I don't know if any of you saw that film. Those of you that have not seen it, I promoted it highly. A Question of Faith was a very good faith-based film, but it was not Christianese. She dealt with some real issues, some real things and feelings, and it was just phenomenal. I got to be there at the premiere where I met you with Richard T. Jones, my dear friend, and it was just a phenomenal film, and you just did such a great job with that. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to let you do whatever you would like to talk about in this moment.
Oh, I'm glad to be here and thankful to Pastor McKinley for even having me here. Thankful for the opportunity. And anything we want to talk about tonight, we can share. If anything, Question of Faith is spurred on opportunities for us to have real conversations. We did the film almost 3 years ago, and right now, everything is happening in its own divine order. Everything's happening that really ties in closely to the movie. You know, people are questioning their faith in God right now. People losing loved ones left and right now. Racism is at its height right now. So 3 major issues of the film is happening right now. You know, when the film aired on Lifetime on Easter, it was just the most perfect time. At that point, everybody was home. Churches weren't open. So a lot of people were forced to watch it. So if anything, those issues are so timely and they're so relevant and they're not going anywhere. When we did the film and when we shot it in 2016, it came out in 2017, who would have thought, fast forward 3 years later, that we would be having these serious issues of death. And so many people that I know have lost loved ones to COVID. And there's a lot of people who've lost loved ones not to COVID. It's been very interesting to see the season of death. I like that. Yeah, the season of death. This is almost what we're going with. Everything's dying this year. Not just people, but history. There's a purging happening, and I think people are dealing with death in a lot of ways. I'm talking to a lot of people who are depressed. I'm talking to a lot of people who are lost their jobs, so they've lost their identity. So I feel
Mm.
like people are at a crossroads. They don't know who they are. They really have lost themselves for whatever reason. And so it's not even just a physical death, it's a mental death that people are going through as well. And so who would have thought that in the film, A Question of Faith, Richard T. Jones, that's what he was going through. Not just a loss of a loved one, but also the idea of not being in control. And so I think it's really timely. I don't know what your thoughts on that, but racism has been with us from the beginning of time. The way we dealt with it on A Question of Faith was from a subtle perspective that I think most people have experienced at some point in their life. What happened this year now has all been exposed, and that ideology of racism is dying. You know, people feel like no matter what side you're on, if there's not a change, this country is going to die. It really is. It's going to be burned down to the ground. Not that I'm proposing that, not that I'm a proponent of that. I'm just telling you reality. It's just reality. It's almost like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? It's just, you know, eventually everything will just turn to dust and be dead. And I think that's what's happening. I think we're at a crossroads with this country. Everybody said 2020 vision, and this is going to be the year for us to see. No idea we're going to be able to see like this, right? No idea who'll have us sit down and we will be forced to see. You know, people are forced to see the protests. People are forced to see all the violence. People are being forced to see the deaths. You know, yesterday in Texas, they were having those morgue trucks again that they had in New York in April. They were showing the morgue trucks, the refrigerated trucks, pulling up in front of the morgues, because all the morgues are filled up for most of the major cities in Texas, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and showing how bodies are being put in these refrigerated trucks, something that happened in New York in April. So we're witnessing death. You know, to see George Floyd actually die on camera. This is some Revelations type stuff. What do you think, Pastor?
Well, I mean,
But
you're hitting on everything, and and I think what's so amazing about it is that you're hitting it from the standpoint of just on A Question of Faith.
mm-hmm,
And I noticed in A Question of Faith that yes, the pastor was wrestling with his faith in God and whether he believed or not. And then you had the racism piece in the film that was done just enough to
mm-hmm,
where people could see it. And then I experienced in the theater
mm,
a white couple actually that wept after.
mm,
They wept because they were touched. They didn't know. And they were wondering, what can we do to fix this problem? How do I relate to the racism that's in me that I didn't even realize was there until I looked at this film, and now I'm seeing something that I didn't even really think that it didn't hit me until I saw this film. And we prayed together, and you know, we just said, and they were Jewish, I believe they were Jewish, yeah, they were. And I said, you know, it's just a matter of praying. You know, we prayed, and I said, and then you just have to keep your heart open to allow God to show you what's in you, because only he knows and how deep it goes. And when we allow ourselves to look through the other lens, I love the argument. I saw this meme. I didn't come up with this, but there's two people were standing in front of each other, and that's a number 9.
mm-hmm,
And so they were arguing that you know, that's a number 9, and the gentleman that was on the other side, he saw number 6. And so they
mm,
were going back and forth until they finally stopped and looked from the other person's angle and realized, oh, we were both right, but we
mm,
needed to agree to disagree because of the lens we were looking through. And
mm,
I think that there's a lot of that is going on right now on so many different levels, even in the church as well. People are starting to look through a different lens. And like you said, we have to deal with these things because you can't hide from it in this season, because not only is it out, I believe that, like you said, you know, certain things have to die. And so there's the death, the
mm,
burial, and then there's the resurrection. But in this
mm.
season, God didn't tell me it was 2020 vision. For me, he said this was the year of kingdom alignment.
Mm.
So in the beginning of the year, I told our people, I began to prophesy about this being the year of kingdom alignment for every assignment. And
Mm.
so in order for there to be an alignment, there's some things that have to be disaligned because there's some things that were misaligned, and God himself is putting things in order for the kingdom purpose. And that's the difference. We talk about, the government, we talk about the world, but we're in the world, but we're not of the world. And so what is happening in the world is one thing, and we're in it, we're experiencing it.
Yeah.
When the prophet prophesied there was going to be a drought, and the prophet Elijah prophesied that there was not going to be no rain except at his word, he went through the drought too. But he was provided for, but he still went through it like everybody else. And so we're in the world, but we're not of the world. We're supposed to be a light that shines in a dark place. And now that the darkness is exposed, a lot of people aren't liking what the light is revealing. And so I think that God is aligning his kingdom and the people in the kingdom. And I've always said that I think there's a difference between Christians and a difference in believers. Everybody can say they're a Christian, but believers do things. They walk different. They talk different. They're out there moving and shaking. They don't need a pulpit for their identity. They just need a person to talk to that God leads them to, and that's where the change happens. But I totally agree with you. It's a time where we've had to look at ourselves and not so much point the finger at the other person, but we're forced to deal with our stuff in our trunk, stuff that we've been able to get away with because we've been so busy. And now that you can't be so busy, you have to really deal with what's going on inside of you, Ruckins. What prophet? Hey, I know you prophesying to everybody, but what's going on inside of you? Where's that deeper level I'm calling you to? And and so I'm with you on this. I'm just loving hearing you talk about this.
Yeah, I think with everything, there's a season, right? It's a time and a season for everything. And I think that 2020 being the year that everybody thought that everything, all their dreams would come true, is interesting how he put a stop on it. Think about, if you go back and look at everybody's resolutions on January 1 this year, including mine, we were like, this is the year. Everything we want, everything we dreamed of, our purpose is going to be fulfilled. Nobody knew God was going to put a halt on the way you have to fulfill it. Not that it won't be fulfilled, the way. He has now put everybody on the same playing field. I don't care if it's a doctor, lawyer, the nail salon owner, the independent contractor, they are all struggling financially. Everybody's on the same playing field. Everybody's reaching out to people on social media for advertisement. Everybody has to figure out ways to make multiple streams of revenue. Everybody's reassessing where they live because now they're stuck in their home, and they also have to meet the people in their home because for the first time, a lot of people don't even know who they live with. There's some real things happening here. Domestic violence has gone up. Unfortunately, child sex abuse has gone up. I was talking to a worker at DIFUS in New Jersey. They call it DIFUS. And now they're forced to go back out to houses, and it's been atrocities happening for people to be forced at home for the last 3 months. The statistics are horrible of what's happening. Without the schools open, a lot of the times the teachers are the ones who are filing the complaints to start an investigation of what they're seeing with the children. Now that there's no teachers, a lot of things are happening, and they just have to hope they get a call from somebody who's a neighbor or somebody who cares about what's happening. But when I say that everybody's on the same playing field, it's the first time that I've talked to different types of people of different ethnic backgrounds, different financial backgrounds, who are all talking the same and do not think they're better than the next person. That's what I love. This has humbled people. Truly. It's humbled you. It's really made you reassess your life, like you said. So that's the death part of it. The ideology of what we think we are has died because the reality has appeared. If your life wasn't right, it appeared this year, right? If you claim to have 6 months of savings in your bank account, guess what? You were tested this year. So any lie you told yourself was revealed. If you thought that you had that hot job and you were furloughed or you were laid off, you learned real quick you're not that hot. You have to create your own. Ownership is key. There's some real reality checks. I'm going to be honest with you. And so I love it personally because I think if anything, we need to stop having these hierarchies of this person thinking they're over this person. We need to all start looking as one people and start working together as one. If anything, brown people for the first time ever are united. Just being honest. If you're Asian, if you're Latino, if you're African American, we are united for once. You know, we didn't need to have all that feuding anyway. And so whatever it took to get to this place is good. I live in Los Angeles, California, as you live in California, and particularly Mexicans and African Americans have been feuding forever. They're all good right now. Even the prison system, they're good. And it's unfortunate it takes something horrible for this to see that we're all one. Now, dealing with Caucasians, we have a lot of people who understand what's happening in this country. But then we have a lot of people who don't understand it. They truly don't understand it. When you talk about the couple in the movie theater, I mean, so many people like that, because a lot of times it's perception. I perceive one thing, you perceive something else. And it's cultural. You know, culturally, we have differences in the way we talk to people, the way our mannerisms, the way our tone. And sometimes if you're not really exposed to different cultures, you don't understand something as simple as tone. There's some who speak a certain way, but they don't mean any offense by it. And then there's other cultures who speak a certain way and they're joking and sometimes in their tone. It's not as serious. So I think, if anything, people have to start working together. The country is falling apart completely to me, you know, not to get so political, but the country is, sorry about this light going in and off, but the country is falling apart. And if anything, we need to take a real look at ourselves. We really need to take a look at ourselves. We need to start working with our neighbor. We need to start understanding that nobody's better than the next. We have to work together as a family, a true family, if we expect any type of change. And with change means accountability. We all need to take accountability for how we got here. We didn't just get here. 2020 was on the board a long time ago, right? 2030, 2040, 2050, they're on the board too. At least God knew what was going to happen when we got here. So we got here for a purpose and a plan. Now we have to realize, what do we do with that now? Sorry not to give a whole lot. Thank you, Timothy. He said it's 100% fact. And Timothy is my white brother. Hey,
wow. So you're able to see the comments.
Yes.
I don't know how, you're going to have to tell me how to do that, because my son did an interview and he couldn't see the comments. He couldn't figure it out for nothing in the world. Everybody else could, but he couldn't see the comments. I can see the comments just like you can. I can, but when he was doing his, he couldn't see it for some reason. But I'm glad that you could see that. And see, I think that what you were saying too is powerful, because when I met you, right, we met in a high profile, you know, hotel when things were still popping and, you know, doing the premiere.
Yes.
And I was observing you because I knew I had a prophetic word for you, but I was observing everybody else that was, you know how we do, you know how people do. But I could tell you were discerning every moment. I was like, oh, she's discerning what people and how they're coming at her, right? And so by the time I got to you, what I was so impressed with was your straightforwardness, but also your humility. I'm like, that humility piece was there. And so we connected, you know, right there. And that was, you know, like you said, 3 years ago. But over the time span, I remember we talked the beginning of the year before any of this stuff hit. And I didn't realize how much of an advocate you were. I didn't realize how much you were into the law. I didn't know how much you were as an attorney and all these different things. I learned about you over the last 7 months, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, and there's more to Angela than meets the eye. So for people that are just
there's always somebody, not to interrupt you, but there's always more to somebody. You know, I tell people, if you think you meet somebody and you know all of them, you have not learned life. People don't show you everything, and they shouldn't. You know, that's a privilege. It's a privilege for somebody to allow you into their space and learn everything about them. And we have to hold on to that, because everybody doesn't deserve to be in that space. Yeah.
See now, that's what you did to me a couple of weeks back, and you were on a broadcast and you were teaching. You were just doing a little life coaching, but you were just telling people about getting, you know, certain things. And I was like, wait a minute, she preaching, she ain't teaching, she preaching, because that's ministering to me, you know. But the way you see things, and I'm out here in Orange County. I'm out here, so there's a different vibe out here.
I know. It's still open there. It's supposed to be closed.
Say that again.
I said half of the stuff is still probably open there that's supposed to be closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're in.
And so with you being in LA and in Hollywood and the type of position that you hold, and you said it's a level playing field, I don't know if people really understand that you deal with people that are on a multi-million-dollar level all the way down. You see it across the board of all ethnicity. You were in many circles. But I like this question here where he asked,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you answer that.
That's a couple good questions above too. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if your name is David, but what determines entrance? I think determines entrance is one, discernment, two, have they earned it? Now you're gonna say, how do I determine how they earned it? Time, trust, integrity, character. Because a lot of times we meet people and we see their representative, right? We all agree on that. But it's also the time that tells you, are they there for you? Or like, for example, Pastor McKinley and I, we don't talk all the time, but every time we see each other and speak, it's the same. Okay? It's important. There's no change on anything. The last time we saw each other in person was at a Devon Franklin's church, if you remember, and we saw each other immediately hugged and embraced. It's the same. So that's somebody I know that hasn't switched up on me, and they deserve more of an entrance. See, a lot of times we give a lot to people who haven't earned it, who haven't done anything but smiled in your face, and you now think you're friends. Why? Think about that. You wouldn't want your child to be friends with a stranger. So why would you be friends with a stranger? And not saying you're not nice, you're not kind, you're not generous. It's friends. You know, that's that term we use loosely amongst people. So you have to have the discernment to know who to trust with information and who not to. Everybody doesn't deserve to know all about you. They just don't. There's no reason for them to. A lot of people use information for their own purpose. Let's just be honest. We live in a country of self-preservation. So a lot of times people want information for their own purpose. When Pastor McKinley met me and he said he could see me reading the room, I'm always reading people because I understand where I'm at. I'm in Hollywood. 90% of people out here are fake and phony. They want something from you. Half of those people that he probably saw me talking to, I haven't heard from since. But I know, I walk into the room understanding that, and I'm okay with that. You know, a lot of people get upset, like, how can you be in Hollywood and be a woman of God and do this? Why not? I can discern who to talk to and who not to. God gives us that gift. You think Jesus was amongst all Christians? Shoot, he's mainly amongst beggars, thieves, and everything else, right, Pastor? Correct me if I'm wrong. So you have to be able to walk in the belly of the beast and understand who's who. You have to. I don't care if you're working in corporate America. There are beasts there. They are. So I can be anywhere and still pick out of 100 people, that person has God's light on them. That person, I can talk to that person. I can get with that person because God's light always shines. I'm going to leave it on that. I'll let you know. His light always shines on people. It's not something that you talk your way. You know, a lot of people are fast talkers. It's not something you can talk. In fact, a lot of people who have not much to say have God's light on them.
See, I'm sitting in this chair, but I feel like running around this room, and I want to throw my shoe at something. I just want to throw something because, you know, that's what I love about All the Way Live, right? Mm-hmm. I get to bring people on and let them tell. It's about the person that I bring on, so they get to speak and they get to tell it. And I love the fact, you know, God's light always shines. You're right. And when you say not everyone should have access to you right away, the Bible also says, hey, know those that labor among you. Yeah. You know, so you can't just let everybody in. You know, there's a story in the Bible about an older prophet and a younger prophet. God told the younger prophet, go in, do this, and go out another way. And that's all I want you to do. Go prophesy, go back. And an older prophet tricked him and said, hey, an angel told me that you're supposed to come home and have a meal with me. And the younger prophet thought just because he was an older prophet too,
Mm.
And here's the difference. The Lord told the young prophet, don't go to no one's house. Don't stop doing the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the older prophet said an angel,
Right.
which meant he lost access to hear God's voice. He was already hearing it from another dimension that wasn't even on the same plane as this young man was. But when he went to his house, he ate with them. And as soon as he ate, the Bible says the older prophet was lying to him, and he prophesied his death. And that younger prophet died because he joined himself to someone right away, thinking, well, we're the same. And
Right.
it's like no, and so there's that same thing in anything. You can apply that to a lot of things, you know and so what you're saying about that is so true. It is so true, and you can't just let anybody in. And you have been, over the time that I've met you, constantly working, constantly writing. I remember we were talking and you were sharing with the people, and I had to call you right afterwards. I said, wait a minute, because this was just too good. You said all of y'all sitting up here watching Netflix all day long, and what you done finished the whole series of whatever show and then got caught up on 3 seasons, and you the same person that was saying, if I just had one free week, I would write my screenplay, or I would do this, or I would do that. And you were like, so some of us are going to be sitting in here working, and when this cleans up, we're going to come out with inventions and ideas. Expound on that. That was so good.
Something I've been telling people in April, and I really received this from another pastor, Dr. Eddie Connor. He's the first one who said it, and then I received it and then really started expounding on it. COVID is separating the boys and the girls. Some are going to come out of here as men and women. Some are still going to be boys and girls. They have utilized this time to still do childlike behavior. There are going to be some adults reborn in 2021 who are going to have their finances in order, their relationships in order, because this has tested your relationships too. This is personal too. You're going to know who's your family, who's your friends, because some people are checking on you, some are not. They're going to have new businesses in place. They're going to have new profound ideology ready to attack. There's going to be other people like I'm being honest with you, I know a lot of people like this. I'm just too depressed. I can't do anything, Angela. I have students like this. I can't do anything. All I can do is just watch TV right now. I'm just too upset. I lost my job. I'm on unemployment. I just don't have any creativity. But somebody in a hole can figure out an invention. You got to stop. You got to stop. There's people in prison who have come out and figured out a 6-figure success. There's people with no eyes who have figured out how to see and create something. But you're telling me during COVID, sitting at home, in the luxury of your home, you have no creativity. You have no motivation. You have no inspiration. Every time you complain about all the things you couldn't do, God is giving you a time to sit your butt down and do it, and you still complaining. It's almost like that. You got to remind me that parable in the Bible where they were fishing. And remember that? You got to refresh me on that. And he brought everything for them. They felt they had nothing, but he brought them things to feed.
Yeah,
That
he
parable.
did. That's the one where it was just 5,000 people, and he said, feed them. And they were like, well, what? And he said he had 2 fish and 5 loaves, the young boy.
Yeah. And so God has brought everything that you want to the table. He's giving you finances. I know it sounds strange, but he's giving you some extra finances. If you're on unemployment, you get the extra $600 a week. If you have a business or independent contractor, self-employed, you're able to get an SBA grant and loan. If you have a business, you're able to get a PPP loan, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. If you received a stimulus check, depending if you made less than $75,000, they're going to vote in the next 2 weeks because Congress has to vote before July 31st because they go on recess. They're going to issue another stimulus. Look at this as an advantage, not a disadvantage. Look at this extra income as a way to finance the business. Look at this as a way to put your money into your knowledge. Take a class. There's so many online classes. People are more accessible. People are hungry for information. People are hungry for you. Yes, you people are hungry for. So you have to take this as a moment of time to rise. If you can't handle this, You need to learn how to become a precious stone. A precious stone can't be broken. This should not be able to break you. You are home. How more comfortable can you be at home? Don't look at it as the walls. You know, a lot of times people are home and they're like, oh, I just got to get out this house. That's a mental thing. The prison you've created is mental, because walls should not confine you. They should not confine you. You got to break the mental walls that no matter where you are, you're able to fulfill your purpose. Think about that. Sometimes in our darkest places is the best creativity. Think about that. In our darkest places, we find out who really loves us. In our darkest places, we really find ourselves. So now you've had a lot of time to look in the mirror, to get to know yourself, because a lot of times we don't know ourselves because we're fronting so much, we're around so many people on a daily basis. You're home, you learn yourself, and now you're able to apply that into whatever your purpose is in life. Whether it's to be a teacher, whether it's to be an author, whether it's to be a chef, whatever you do in life, you're now to apply a newfound energy and now become the best you. So this is going to separate everybody, Pastor. It's going to separate everybody. Because I can tell you right now, I know amongst my own circle, there's a separation already happening. See, when you are moving towards your purpose, you don't got time to sit around and talk to people about stories. Somebody called me yesterday about, did you see this new movie? I think it's called The Old Guard on Netflix. Gina Prince Bythewood, I learned, directed it. I'm like, I don't have time to watch no new movie. I'm up here working 4 or 5 different jobs. God bless whoever did the movie. I know we're good. God bless whoever did the movie. But I'm trying to write my own movies. I'm trying to get my own movies financed. I'm trying to produce my own stuff. You don't think there's going to be a tsunami at some point? At some point when this opens back up, whether it's 2021 or whenever, there's going to be more opportunities for everybody. I don't want them be getting prepared. We need to be prepared right now. All my packages need to be prepared. All my pitch decks, all my bios, resumes, getting the website tighter. I don't got time to watch no movies. Only time I turn on TVs at night, and that's usually CNN to see what's going on, because I want to be informed. But to sit around and just watch TV, I don't understand that. Now, I understand that people are feeling mentally depressed. I do recognize that. So I don't want people to think I don't recognize that. But I do think this is a time to really work on yourself, because if something like this is depressing you, it's deeper than COVID. There's some type of codependency happening in your life that's dependent on others. Think about that. There's something going on. You have to know how to be with yourself. If you're just with your family, you have to learn how to be with your family. If it's just you and your husband, you got to learn how to live together. Truly. Truly. You know, schools are probably not opening back up in the fall. I have so many friends who are parents saying, I can't wait to get these kids out the house. Why can't you wait to get them out the house? There's something deeper there. It's bigger than just, they're getting on my nerves. No, just something deeper there. I was just home with my nieces and nephews and my brother and sister-in-law, and they're enjoying their kids at home. Now they get to homeschool them. You know, that's sometimes what people pray for, to homeschool their kids, because they don't trust what they're being taught anyway in school. So they're enjoying homeschooling them. They're enjoying them home. It's the most time they've spent in like 10 years together. They found ways to have activities. They found ways to bond as a family. Truly. And I was so happy to be home. I spent all my time with my family. And I think those are things we have to work on. But I do think there's going to be a separation. And I hope your audience knows, get it together. Do not sit around waiting. I have nothing wrong watching TV and catching on some entertainment. I'm in the world of entertainment, so of course I support other entertainers. But make sure you have your business in order. If you don't have a website, get one. If you don't have a bio or resume, write one. Hire somebody to edit it for you. If you don't have professional headshots, don't tell me about COVID. There are ways now people are doing professional headshots. I don't care if you're a realtor. You need professional headshots. If you're a pastor, you need professional headshots. You are a brand. People are going to be looking for you. So don't talk to me about it's cold, that I don't know how to take a photo. I have a ring light that keeps going on and off right now. You can use a ring light, put your camera right up there, and shoot in 4K, and bam, you got a headshot. Right? Like, people come up with 1,000 excuses. And so I think we've lived in that type of society of not taking accountability Unfortunately, I feel we have a president who doesn't take accountability, so it trickles down. So people don't feel that they have to take accountability for anything. There's always an excuse. You don't have an excuse now. You can find people who do things for cheap, affordable, and work with you. People want to work together. You have many ways to stay in communication. So you can do it. And if you have a circle of friends or family around you who's doing nothing, just put them on pause. I had to put a cousin today on pause. She called me with a whole bunch of nonsense. I said, not today. Because that energy will flow through you. If you have people around you not doing anything all day, it will flow through you. Start your day with a walk, or start your day, of course, with prayer. Start your day meditation. Do something, because you don't want that to fester. You don't want it to fester. Sorry, Pastor, I'm taking up all your time talking.
No, this is not my time. It's your time, and you right on time with everything that you're saying right now. And I'm looking at the comments. People saying I needed to hear this. You're blessing me. This is it. So I mean, you know, this is the life coach coming out of you now. This is the business coach coming out of you now, because you hit on several different things that people should have in order while you have time to get it in order. So once this thing pops off, like you said, you know, hey. If somebody's looking for a movie script, you can't write it then. You're like, you got to get it done now. So once the door opens, you ready to go. And, you know, we were talking about that too, a while back, you and I were speaking, and you were saying, look, you know, people just can't come up to me and say, and I ask them, well, what's your website? You know, or what's your Instagram? And they're not giving me anything. So you're like, well, how am I supposed to find you? How am I supposed to look you up? And so now you just hit on so many different things right now. I'm enjoying listening to you talk.
Oh, thank you. No, I'm just trying to feed people, because I think we have so much negativity, we can't sort it out. So, and that's in life. You're going to have a lot of negativity, and you need to compartmentalize it. There's boxes for everything. You have that negative friend or family member, put them in their box, put it on the shelf. I'll deal with you when I have time to deal with you. And then you keep it moving. And I think right now people are dealing with distractions. So they're forgetting that this is going to end at some point. People are really forgetting that. They're forgetting that companies more than ever are going to be hiring people virtually. If you're not virtually set up, your business is extinct. Even for churches. Pastor, I'll be honest, you guys are going to have to move soon to a virtual service. So everything has to change. Your server has to change. You need to have a technical person, maybe how to set you up on how to collect tithes, for example. So everybody has to reprogram their brain to say the future is upon us. You know, you remember the cartoon back in the day, the Jetsons, and the cars were flying. The future is upon us. Where everything's going to be contactless, where we're going to be able to talk in the home and all of a sudden a shake appears. The future is here. I can see it clearly. I don't know what you see, Pastor, but I can see it clearly.
Well, you know, yeah.
Sorry, Pastor.
Go ahead. Everything
that you know of is becoming extinct. When people have to find you, the yellow pages, remember we used to have yellow pages and white pages? Who wants a yellow page book and white page? If I can't Google you and you're a plumber, thank you, but no thank you. The days of business cards, of somebody just going door to door, salesman, those are over. Nobody wants anybody random coming up to their door, selling vacuum cleaners and other things. You have to set up your storefront online. You have to. This is not an option. You don't want to look up in 2023 and then be a dinosaur where people are like, what? You do what? Those days are over. So you have to always pivot and adapt. We all have to, right? We see there's a situation going on. How well can you pivot and adapt? Some people can't pivot well. Use this as an exercise. See how much you can go through and how you can make it work for you. It's an exercise. It's not by accident some of the best minds and some of the wealthiest people have gone through horrible things. It's not by accident. A lot of times we have to be buried under a rock to breathe. You heard that? Buried under a rock to breathe. You can't breathe under a rock. So how do you breathe under a rock? You figure out a way to destroy that rock, right? You figure out a way to climb up, out the rock, out the way, around the rock, however you have to get around in order to breathe. So right now, a lot is on us, and I don't negate that. I have a lot of people around me who are very depressed for all kinds of reasons. People don't understand their future. They don't know if they're going to have a job. People have lost people. People are sick. And not all with COVID. I've seen, Pastor, more death right now than ever. And it's not COVID all. It's just random things from suicide to cancer, broken hearts. I've seen a lot of that. So we're going through a lot, but at the same time, stay focused, stay prayed up, keep good people around you. If you have to limit the number of people that are in contact with you, do it. I do it all the time. I'm very funny about people in my space. And when I say in my space, it's never physical. It's always mental. Whoever you talk to the most, trust me, you're just alike. People rub on people, right? And so you have to be careful of who you allow into that mental space. If you're trying to build a future for your family and your home, and then you're in the home with somebody who's just trying to sit on the couch, you're going to have problems. And it didn't take COVID to see that. You saw it before COVID. See, what's happening too, Pastor? People already knew they had problems in their house. They just went to work to avoid them. Let's be honest. It's just being truthful. Now, you're home and you have to see this person. Now you have to deal with the reality that you tried to avoid. I know some people say, oh, I didn't know this person. You knew this person. Stop playing around. You knew this person. You didn't want to face that person, because in order to face the problems, you got to face who? You got to face yourself. Right? Can't face a problem if you don't really face yourself. How are you in this problem? What's going on? How are you handling? How are you making it better? What's the resolution? So I think that this is a good time for people to see reality. I'm fine. I've been happy with this. I think we talked a couple months ago, and you called me last week when I was with my mom, and I don't have an issue with anything that's happening. I really don't. Not saying I don't feel for people. I think it's necessary because people have to wake up. I think we were kind of living day by day as a people. We were just kind of floating in society, and things weren't being addressed. At least things are being addressed. Issues are being addressed. I think the fact that finances are low for a lot of people is important, because now it's going to force you to elevate your game. It's going to force you to think out the box. It's going to force you to have ownership. You can never truly be wealthy without ownership. You could be rich, not wealthy. Wealth equals ownership. If you don't own anything, somebody will always own you. Understand the difference. And you got to figure out your place in history. Do you want to leave a true legacy, or do you just want to pass down being owned by somebody else? So if anything, there's being more small businesses created than ever right now. I'm so happy about that. More business owners, people who are really setting up shop. That's why the playing field is becoming leveled. Because instead of everybody going to this particular company to get things, people have started multiple companies. Somebody just sent me today a Black woman syrup line. Instead of Aunt Jemima, I can buy this Black woman syrup. I'm like, okay, hallelujah. You know, this is exciting to me. Because the average person, if you were part of my school, if you don't mind me talking about, it's called Backstage Pass in the Movie Industry. And you guys can go to my website, MissAngelaWhite.com. One of my students is on here. Kim, do you mind putting that in the chat? MissAngelaWhite.com. One of the things I teach and make all my students have multiple businesses, whether they like it or not. Because they have to have a way to truly financially survive. If anything you should have learned from this COVID, your job is not safe. I don't care where you work. When I say I don't care, I don't want to hear it. In fact, the more seniority you have at your job, good chance they're going to let you go when this is over. They're not going to want to have to pay all that they're going to have to pay you. They'd rather let you go. Read the news carefully. See how they're getting rid of all these tenure people. And it's a money play, because companies don't have as much money. So it's cheaper to hire new people with less experience. So this is the time to pivot. If you've been at a company for 20 years, you've learned enough to start your own company to compete with them and probably provide better quality and service. This is the time to really pay attention to what's going on. Look, American Airlines just announced they're going to let off another 400 employees. Delta and United laid off employees last week. I don't care where you work. I know high-level executives who thought their job was safe. They were let go in April. All my friends at Disney have been furloughed. And when I say all, it didn't matter if they were a lawyer, didn't matter if they were executive assistant. They're on the same playing field right now on unemployment. You got to understand what's happening. You got to pay attention to what's happening. There's a purging going on, not of people too, but of people working a certain way. Take that as an advantage. Look at that as opportunity. Oh, now it's time for me to start my own company. Really, really take that as an opportunity, because I really think the future is going to have less people working at companies. Facebook has dismantled all its offices in the Bay. That was announced maybe 3-4 weeks ago. You guys can Google this. They're now going to have most of their employees work from home. That's the first sign of layoffs. When you close the brick and mortar businesses, what do? You start laying people off. When people work from home, you need less people. So the signs are all out there economically, what's happening on a global level too, that jobs are going to be less. So this is the time to start your own business. And there's people out there who will help you. So thank you. I'm sorry, speaking a lot. Now, somebody said hearing you speak as a young attorney is giving me life. You're a young attorney, Britt? Well, congrats. I've been out of law school now 22 years. I'm old.
What type of law?
Well, I was always going to do entertainment, but I've done corporate and civil litigation when I only went to do entertainment, but I did work at a lot of the big firms. My last firm was O'Malley Veneer Myers back in 2008. But I did work at a lot of the big firms doing civil litigation. And I only did that as a means to an end. I knew at a very early age, I graduated law school in 98, but at a very early age, I knew that I would not work well in a corporate structure. It just wasn't for me. And that's something you have to hear your inner voice. That was never for me. And honestly, I was laid off at my last law firm because I was up there not paying attention to anything they were talking about anyway. I was doing my own stuff. I was making movies with the door closed, taking 2-3 weeks off vacation, unpaid. That's not heard of. When you're in corporate America and you start taking unpaid vacations, they know you're making money another way. And they're like, you really do not care about being here. You don't hear people doing unpaid PTO. And so that's what I was doing. And at one point they said, we're going to do you a favor. We're going to give you a nice severance package. And I had a severance package for like a year. Then I can do unemployment the next year and you just go live your life. And that's what I did. And that's what needed to happen. And I haven't looked back, and I haven't worked in a corporate structure. I do work with studios, but I'm always an independent contractor. For me, it's best for me to be free. And there's nothing wrong with a corporate structure, because you do need to have some financial stability at some point in your life. You cannot try to just jump into things and not have any money. So just be smart about being at the corporate job, building your side hustle at the same time. You want to put your ducks in a row, because if they do lay you off or you do decide to leave, you're good. You've prepared for a rainy day. So you do want to be smart and strategic about it. So when they laid me off, I was okay with it. I had no issue with it. And they didn't expect me to have an issue with it, because I knew I was up there doing, I wasn't doing good. And that's just being honest. I wasn't. I was up there doing everybody else's job but my job. And so that's not fair to the job, and it's not fair to me. So that was the best decision. And honestly, sometimes we have to be pushed out of a situation or we're never going to leave. That comfort of that check every 2 weeks, the 401k, the benefits, I had a car allowance, all this, that comfortability is a chain, because it's really chains on you. You don't realize it because you don't want to ever leave it. But then once the chains are broken, you feel free in a way to really be able to do what you want to do. And for me, I was always in corporate environments that were very white. I was always the only African American at the law firm. Very rare there was another one there. So also that wasn't comfortable for me. I like to be in diverse, some type of diverse industry. And so that's also another issue. Even in law school, I was pretty much the only one. And so at some point, I knew I need to be also around people that look like me. I don't have to be in an all Black environment, but I need to be around people that reflect the world. And we're Black and brown and white.
Wow. Everyone listening, you need to go to her website, missangela.white.com, for more information and learn more. If you like this type of talk and this type of realness, you can go to her website and you can get the information that you need to know. She's got some more films coming out here in the near future that go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hands Up is the next one that we're getting ready to come out. And you can see that on my Instagram page, the poster. And that's a love letter to Black men. And we shot that in Atlanta, Georgia on a real plantation in November of last year. And we take you from 1855 to 2020. It's a serious piece. No games are being played. We're not sugarcoating anything in this. And I directed it as well. And I'm so excited for people to see Hands Up. And basically in Hands Up, short version is nothing's changed. And we're still living in America. And so the actors were able to play two roles. They're able to play somebody in 1855 and they were able to play somebody in 2020. And if you're very insightful, you can figure out very quickly what they played and did anything really change. So
Wow.
That's the next project coming out. And that's called Hands Up. I just premiered the poster, the trailer we should be premiering in the next week. And we're really excited.
Wow. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have put together here. And it's so timely for the time that we're in right now too. And I know we've talked a bit, I don't want to spoil it for people, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I hopefully will be able to do, I know your time is so limited. You're about to jump into another interview as soon as we log off. But I would love to do another All the Way Live with you. You know, and you know, I love what you said, and I'm gonna let you go. But before I do that, I just speak blessing, increase, favor, doors open, not closed, ways made that only God could do for you. That creative prophetic side of you would continue to see things in a way that most people don't see it. You look at things differently, and that God's perfect plan will be worked in you and through you in this season, and that your voice will continue to be a voice of truth that brings through the media and the entertainment that way of seeing the way God wants us to see, so we can be who God wants us to be. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Pastor McKinley, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for everybody who's listening. And God bless everyone. We're all in this together. We have to work as a big community. No more little communities. We got to work together. So thank you, Pastor. Blessings.
You're welcome. Bless you. I'm gonna let you go, get on to your next live, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome. Wow. Those of you that are still in the room, I pray that you were blessed by Miss Angela White. She is a phenomenal person at what she does. And we're going to be bringing to you more All the Way Lives just like this. And I want you to understand the format on All the Way Live. These are believers, yes, but they're not preachers. And so they're going to give you their perspective on whatever it is that they do and how they do it. And it's going to be for the purpose of letting you see things through a different lens. Remember, everybody's pulpit is not like the average person. And so even though myself, you know, like she said, you're going to have to change the way you do things. Well, God bless, you know, God bless her for that as well. She's very creative. It stirs up that creative ability on the inside of you. That's that apostolic side of her. And the reality is, thank God, before COVID hit, we were already streaming at New Breed Worship Center. We were already live streaming and going live on weekly basis. We were going live. And so, and then at Thursdays on Periscope. So I was already building my audience. And those of you that are not following me right now on periscope.tv, you may want to do that as well. Or you can also download our church app, which is in your app store, Google Play, or in your Apple store. Just download the app, New Breed Worship Center. Okay, NBWC, New Breed Worship Center. It's got inspirational teaching on there. It's got daily prayer, daily scriptures, things to keep you inspired and uplifted and so forth and so on. You can also give your tithes and offerings on there. If the Lord leads you to sow a seed, you can do that on the app as well. It's all right there for you. And so the website of the ministry also is newbreedworshipcenter.com. That is the website for the church. And so you can see the things that's going on there with the ministry there as well. But I want you to be excited in this season. Like she said, you know, people are going to be looking for you. And that is so true, because people need hope in this season like never before. But they also need the power and the direction of the prophetic voice. And my job is to prophesy tomorrow while we're still in today. And I was looking at a word that I gave in May of last year, and it was talking about people that God was going to raise up in technology, and people that were going to be doing things online, and they're going to be game changers, and they were going to be become very wealthy to be able to go in and rebuild communities and rebuild schools and be able to change things by the Spirit, because they'd have the finances to do that. And so that word is even now starting to come to pass in this season. And so I'm seeing a lot of the things that God said, and our job, as Sister Parker said, is focused faith. We've got to stay in focused faith. And that is what our theme is for this month. Focused faith. If you have not seen that message, go back, look at it on the church app, look at it on my YouTube channel, which is New Breed Worship Center on YouTube. You can also see it on my Facebook page. But that message, Focused Faith, was powerful. We're going to pick up again on part 2 of Focused Faith on this Sunday night. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to do our all the way live tomorrow night. We'll just have to see, but we will be live on periscope.tv for sure, and on Facebook as well. Just follow me at Ruckins Mckinley on Facebook, also on periscope.tv under Ruckins Mckinley as well. And we'll be doing our Thursday night teaching or our Thursday night flow. Either way, it's going to be flowing, and you're going to be inspired, encouraged, and blessed. So for those of you that are still here before we log out of here, make sure, if you want to, share this interview with some of your friends. It will be up on the replay on the app very soon. Thank you, Brother Motivation. God bless you, Motivation 77. And you can also see it again on the replay. So it's going to be back up again. Before we log out, thank you, Black Girls Love Science too. God bless you as well. And so those of you that were here for the first time, if this is your first time ever coming in because of Angela, if you wouldn't mind putting a number 1 on the screen, I just want to acknowledge you and welcome you on. I see a lot of people that I know, and then I see a lot of new names that I don't know. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you for taking the time to join us here on All the Way Live. And we'll be doing a lot more of these. Candyland, God bless you. God bless you. Okay, we've got a lot more of these coming up in the near future. Going to do All the Way Lives once a month. Dammy DC, God bless you. Right now, I don't think I'm going to go over to Vancouver, Washington for quite some time. With the pandemic going on right now, and church is not meeting right now, I can't really give you an answer on that. But hopefully I will be able to get back over in the Vancouver area once it's safe and everything is back in order, whatever that order is going to be, or the new norm is going to be. And Cheryl the writer, God bless you. I see these first timers on here. Well, God bless you. Feel free to follow me if you like, if you were blessed or inspired by this, and we'll see you again on the next All the Way Live. I speak God's favor, God's blessing, God's increase over your life, and may you be encouraged to go into that deeper place that God has called you to, so that you can come out being the person that He created you to be. Once again, Pastor Ruckins Mckinley, All the Way Live. I'll see you again soon. God bless.